Within our world exists still another, inhabited by creatures who live tucked away just beneath the surface of our lives, almost beyond the realm of man's awareness. This is the hidden world, domain of the insects. And anywhere on Earth, one has but to turn back the petal of a flower to uncover the tranquil beauty and the terrifying violence of their existence. Philosopher has written, "Something in the insect seems alien to the habits, morals, and psychology of this world, as if it had come from some other planet, more monstrous, more infernal than our own." What is known of this alien world has been learned mostly in the last 100 years. Now, realizing the wealth of knowledge it contains, science is beginning to catch up, to understand these tiny creatures. At the California Institute of Technology, a multi-million-dollar computer complex is directly linked to a common housefly to trace a detailed picture of its entire nervous system. Slowly, one by one, the secrets of the hidden world are being probed and deciphered, and man is only now beginning to fathom the mysteries of a life force that preceded him on Earth by more than 300 million years. Insects ruled the skies long before any other creature could fly. Succeeding where others failed, they overcame the violent upheavals of a changing Earth, relentlessly adapting in shape and function. Nothing could stop them. Sheer numbers gave them an enormous advantage. Their reproductive powers are so staggering that within a single summer, the offspring of a pair of insects could, if unmolested, blanket the globe from pole to pole. Millions are born so that a few may survive. This is nature's showplace, the great rainforests of the tropics. A dense belt of vegetation straddling the equator, covering almost 1/10 of the Earth's land surface. Moist and warm, these vast forests are natural hothouses, stimulating plant life and providing a unique home for a myriad of different insects. The tropics are the home of such curiosities as the Goliath beetle, one of the heaviest and most powerful of insects. The lanternfly is one of nature's enigmas. Its alligator-like snout is hollow, the teeth and eyes simply color patterns. Does this grotesque face frighten enemies, or is it merely a random design? No one is certain. The most dramatic inhabitant of the tropical zone is the giant walking stick. Slender and delicate, he is a master of mimicry. Nearly 1 million species of insects have been formally classified, and each year several thousand new subjects are discovered, mostly here in the tropical regions of the world. One man has devoted nearly all of his adult life to this task. He is Dr. Graham Bell Fairchild, an American scientist living in Panama. and one of the world's leading authorities on insect life in the tropical rainforest.
There are probably yard for yard or acre for acre, about 10 times as many kinds of insects in the rainforest than there are anywhere in the temperate region. Many things in the tropics are primitive. They resemble their ancestors or the animals that have been found as fossils. Peripatus is one of these so-called fossils. It has many of the structures of an insect and many of the structures of a worm. Most entomologists know of Peripatus because it's the famous missing link. The smaller an insect is, of course, the less conspicuous it is, the less it needs to eat, the more easy it is to hide. At the other extreme, you have a few giant insects, including giant rhinoceros beetles. They are probably successful because of their size, and they're so thick and hard that they're pretty much immune to anything but the largest animals. Then you have another group of insects which are defended against their enemies by a bad taste, a bad odor, or by stinging spines. These are often brilliantly colored, but the sting in some of them is very violent. Even after some 28 years, I still find things that I've never seen before. Some of them turn out to be new to science. Others are common somewhere else, but they're new to me. And after all, that's the most important thing. One of the best ways of collecting insects at night is by the use of a light. And insects will swarm into this light in perfectly incredible numbers. One of the drawbacks to working in the tropics is the richness of the insect life. You can collect the year around, and in 2 or 3 weeks of intensive collecting, you can get enough material to keep you busy for a year. And until we get all the insects named, we don't know exactly what we're dealing with.
Dr. Graham Bell Fairchild is a pioneer, for entomology, the study of insects, is a young science. But his work cannot be completed in his lifetime. It will remain for future generations to finish the task Dr. Fairchild has begun. The insect is man's greatest competitor for the food of the land. This is the battlefield. Here, the insect can often be more than a match for even the most sophisticated weapons of 20th century science. Locusts, the 8th plague of Egypt, as destructive today as in the time of the pharaohs. Native farmers still fight these invaders with the hopeless weapons of another age, a grim reminder of the misery man has suffered in the past. Modern science enters the battle, with specialists and technicians, with a widespread communication network, with chemicals and equipment. The first attack is with poison bait, a powerful insecticide mixed with bran. The object, to wipe out as many locusts as possible before they mature and take wing. Poison slaughters them by the millions, but there are millions more behind. The battle moves from ground to air. This swarm is 23 miles long and 5 miles deep. Aerial spraying is the only weapon left. There are clouds ahead, not rain, but clouds of locusts. Pilots risk their lives, but their efforts are in vain. enough locusts will get through to lay bare vast stretches of land. The battle ends, and man has not won. To defeat the locust, he must be prepared to wage war on yet a larger scale, for the enemy he faces knows no surrender. Insects devour a third of all that we grow and all that we store. The damage they do in America costs every man, woman, and child over $100 a year. In other parts of the world, their ravages can mean famine and starvation. Whatever advantage that man maintains over the insect is due primarily to the widespread use of pesticides. This is a costly and controversial method of control. Yet, without pesticides, we would surely lose the war. Near Riverside, California, a unique business venture is underway. This is a bug farm. And these converted boxcars are the breeding ground for millions of predatory insects. Project manager Richard Morrison inspects one of his most popular commodities, the green lacewing. These harmless-looking creatures are a powerful ally in a technique known as biological control. Adult lacewings lay eggs on the inner lids of their containers, which are lined with rice husks. Each day, the husks are scraped from the lids and packaged for sale and shipment to farmers across the nation. Once the eggs hatch in their new environment, the larvae set to work devouring insect pests like the aphid, turning insect against insect. This is the technique of biological control. For over a century, cattlemen throughout the southeastern states had watched helplessly as their livestock was crippled and killed by the larvae of the screwworm fly. After years of research, there seemed to be only one solution. And in an abandoned aircraft hangar on the outskirts of Sebring, Florida, a daring project was launched. The building became a fly factory, where 50 million screwworm flies were reared and processed every week. Then, in one of the most impressive peacetime uses of atomic energy, the screwworm flies were bombarded with gamma rays, turning them into living exterminators. The success of the project hinged on the theory that if enormous numbers of these sterilized flies were released to mate with healthy ones, the birth rate would drastically decline. Planes were equipped with special devices that would free the sterilized flies as the boxes were dropped. The tactics called for massive aerial distribution, 500,000 flies each mission, 20 missions a day for months. There finally came a day when not a single screwworm-infested animal could be found in the entire Southeast. The project was a triumph of the atomic age, a major victory of modern science over the insect. African termite mounds stand as monuments to the success of their builders. Within these fortresses, termites have ensured their survival by combining the special talents of individuals to create an insect society. Inside the hard, rock-like walls of these miniature mountains, a well-developed caste system exists. The majority of the population are workers. Blind and defenseless, their task is to repair and extend the intricate maze of subterranean passages and highways. Soldier termites are dedicated to the defense of the nest. Their powerful jaws are so large that they cannot feed themselves and must be fed by workers. Deep inside the mound is the royal chamber of the queen termite, Swollen so large that her feet can no longer touch the floor, she will spend the rest of her life in this hidden room. Like a whale among minnows, she is a grotesque egg-laying machine whose heaving bulk produces several thousand eggs each day in a lifetime that may last as long as 50 years. When conditions of climate and population reach a certain point, a great exodus of winged males and females takes place. Their sole mission is to found new colonies of termites. Eventually, they flutter to the ground and begin shedding their wings. And now, a strange ritual begins. When a male finally selects a female, she releases her remaining wings, and the pair immediately begins looking for a suitable spot to build their nest. But few will survive the natural gauntlet that all must run. Birds and bats inflict heavy casualties in mid-flight. Many termites are ensnared in spider webs, while others are caught on the ground by a host of predators. Ants are the ancient enemies of termites. They are extremely dangerous if they can gain access to the mound. African matabele ants scour the countryside searching for prey. When their scouts locate an exposed termite mound, they immediately notify the others. With a sudden surge, the main body descends upon this rich prize. Within a short time, a teeming, thriving community has been decimated. This calamity goes unnoticed. It is nothing more than an infinitesimal shift in the balance of nature. But one pair survives. A male and a female slip through the gauntlet. In their new home, they will soon mate, passing on to each of their countless offspring the complicated instinct developed through millions of years of struggle, so that another tower may rise here, a sign that a permanent place for their kind has been assured in the hidden world. One insect creates beauty as a byproduct of its work. It gave ancient man his first taste of honey, and over 4,000 years ago, man domesticated and began to observe the well-ordered world of the honeybee. The hive exists as a selfless society, functioning as a unit to care for the queen bee and thereby ensure its own preservation. To a few men, sheer wonder of this insect has motivated a life's work. Dr. Carl von Frisch is one of the world's most famous entomologists. 50 years ago, he began his preoccupation with bees. In the decades which followed, his discoveries added more knowledge to this subject than man possessed for the past 4,000 years. Now he is forced to confine his studies to dead bees. He has been stung so often that one more sting could prove fatal. It was at this Austrian chalet that Dr. von Frisch discovered bees can discern color. It was here that he learned a new sophistication to this insect, its previously unimagined abilities. This information was garnered through the classic von Frisch experiment. It started with the knowledge that when one bee finds nectar, others soon follow. The first bee is marked, and his subsequent actions observed. Returning to the hive, the marked bee can be seen communicating his discovery through a peculiar dance. Each movement transmits key information. The marked bee is informing the others of the distance to the nectar, its quantity, even the direction in its relation to the angle of the sun. The The marked bee could now be killed, and the colony would still find the nectar. With the knowledge communicated through the dance, the workers now know what food awaits them and precisely where it is. Such experiments, though varied to answer additional questions, have failed to answer the most intriguing one of all. Can this evidence of communication be explained through instinct or reflex? Or is it possible that the bee is capable of something akin to thought? The world of insects is an alien world. This life form offers man little to relate to. There seems no link. But there are similarities. Both man and the insect have shown efficiency, ingenuity, and even a similar destructive instinct. To some who have contemplated this frail connection, there comes an unsettling feeling, perhaps best expressed by philosopher and naturalist Joseph Wood Crouch. Because our society is becoming so tightly organized, and the techniques of conditioning human beings so refined, the insect is sometimes held to us as an awful warning against what we might come to resemble. For insect and for man in a changing world, flexibility is the key to survival. In an attempt to isolate the single behavior pattern that might be applied to his own struggle, man delves deep into the microscopic world of the insects, forcing them to yield the carefully guarded secrets of their success. As more information is gathered, man slowly finds answers to his own most baffling questions, and learns that in his search for survival, he must not only reach up into the heavens, but stoop low to examine the small plot of earth beneath his feet. For in a world so minute that a blade of grass towers like a skyscraper, and a whole society can live and die in the impression left by a single footprint, man may find answers so enormous that his own fleeting existence can be made more permanent. It is for this reason that he will continue on his journey through the hidden world.